Lift your spirit, fuel your fire. Passionate words, stories untold. This is the place where you unfold. Just chat.
Hello, welcome to Just Chat. I'm your host, Uncle Dominic. Today we are going to talk about the topic of make the best out of a bad situation. And we have our co-host today, Tommy. Let's introduce Tommy. Uncle Tommy.
Hello.
Oh, he looks awesome today. Oh, wow.
That's what I usually look like without makeup. Hi
All
everyone.
right. And we have with us our guest today to talk more about this is Ben. Hello,
This
Ben.
is what I look like without makeup as well. Hi, everybody.
All right. So we're in. Let me start this. Okay. All right. So our topic today is make the best out of a bad situation. All right. Technically, everyone has bad situation. I have, lots of problems every day. I see problems every day, and how do we see it positively? Changing it. That's what we want to talk about. Okay. So I'll give you an example. Like every day, all of us goes to work, and definitely every day people complain about something. All right, there's definitely something. There's something people complain about, whether it's their morning coffee or their morning transportation or something. There's always someone complaining about something, or even you yourself. So how can we change that? So let's hear first from Ben. Can you introduce to us a little bit about yourself and Tommy as well?
Dom, can I just jump in for a bit? I think you might need to halve that volume, that music, because I
Okay.
can't really hear you. Yeah. But look at Ben. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, Ben.
All right.
To rob you off your groove, but yeah, go.
Go. All right, here we go. Thank you for having me on, Uncle Dominic, Dom here, and Uncle Tommy as well. So, who am I? I'm a young guy, I think, getting older, just like everybody else. But yeah, I actually met Tommy through like a online group, and he kind of invited me over here. So a little bit about me. I'm a pretty carefree sort of guy, I think. But just like you said, Dom, everyone has kind of bad situations that they run into, whether it's every day or something maybe a little bit bigger. So yeah, I think I've kind of gone through a little bit of both, maybe, and learned a lot about how we can make the most of the situation. Definitely a difficult thing to do, but if you can, make it out, I think that's kind of where you start to find maybe your own value, and then also encouragement from others who still value you, regardless of maybe what has happened. External forces for the most part, I feel, but then also a little bit of exploration for internal as well, and how you can improve and work to grow is also very important. So,
I
yep,
definitely
for
like
me,
the part about internal, because
yeah.
most of the time we look at things external, it's their fault.
Hmm.
This is what happened because of them. The coffee's bad because you made the coffee. It could be more about yourself, your taste buds, how you feel in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that I've learned over the last couple of years that I try to remind myself too, is that everybody's the hero of their own story. So just like you said, kind of flipping the narratives or the switch is like not saying that people aren't incapable of doing the wrong thing, but they might not realize that something is wrong in the moment until later on when they can kind of see it. And I think kind of having that humility a little bit can inform a lot of things and hopefully make people much more sympathetic and even more so empathetic for one another. So yeah, even if that barista messes up the coffee, Dom, instead of splashing it back into their face or something, you could also say, I realize that you wake up at 4:30 in the morning to make this for me. I'm on my way to work. I wish it wasn't late or whatever, but there's other things that we can maybe take on for ourselves and make the best of the situation. Try to brighten that person's day in addition, because it can be difficult. Yeah, like we talked about in the mundaneness or the routine nature of life, to begin to take a lot of things for granted.
Hey, what about you, Tommy?
Well, to me, it's all about perspective, isn't it? Like, so if you talk about the coffee, you can have a bad coffee, but does it not make your good coffees better? And I think the yeah, mostly it's about perspective. So you guys work out, yeah, because I can see that you do. You know that pain is good for the workouts, and most of the people, they just work out for the pain, because not because they enjoy the pain, but because the pain represents something to them. So you go, well, pain is growth, right? So you can say it's a bad thing because it hurts, but if you look at it, if you understand the situation and go, well, this hurt means growth, then you appreciate it more. So if we flip that around and say, all right, say you've worked out really hard and you've maxed out everything, and you go, nah, I cannot feel any soreness in my body at all. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? So in terms of how you view it, for the bodybuilders, they'll go, now that's a bad thing because that means I'm not getting any growth. But why do you want the pain? Touching a bit on what Ben's saying as well, you know, like you have to have that humility in yourself, and realizing that you know other people may have a bad day as well, and trying to promote your, I guess, happiness, and trying to infect your positivity on them will sort of give them a good way to progress through the day, and that gives you the meaning to your life as well. If that makes sense.
It does, but but on the same thing, like you said earlier, it's difficult, right? So I mean, we can wake up in the morning, go get our morning coffee, and say, "Hey, you're having a great day today," or saying good things to the barista, but they might not accept it. Or what if you get bad coffee, even though you said good things about it? Like, what's your reaction to it? And I think that's the key point, right? In the sense that like your own reaction towards it. So, like, if I'm going to work today and someone just cut in front of me with their car, am I gonna be like yelling at them, or do I cut back
Yes.
at them, or what am I gonna do?
I will yell at them, but probably not cut back in because my car is weak. But yes, I think yeah, in that situation, I feel like the yelling is justified and it needs to be done because it gets your immediate rage out of the way. Now, whether or not you continue to pursue that is a different problem. So for me, how I deal with it, if I have a bad situation, is I respond with sarcasm, and I think that is a deflection from channeling my anger into some physical violence, for example. So I just go, oh, you know, insert name here, and that will make me feel at least better because I have inflicted some sort of damage on them, although not directly on them.
But do they hear you though? If you're in the car,
No, they don't. No, they don't. It's all for me. It's got nothing to do with them until I physically channel that with my small arms because I don't work out. But it does mean that it doesn't go anywhere else from there. Because I've already had my say, and I go, oh, he's an idiot anyway. So all right, let him get on with his life, and I'll get on with mine.
Yeah, I had that as well a couple of times, yelling it out and saying things, or even swearing sometimes. But I feel like after I do that, it makes me feel worse. I don't know. For me, yeah, after I yell at someone, I feel like it makes me feel worse. I think sometimes it's more better. I want to say ignore it, but more like just to be passive about it. I was like, okay, so they're cutting my line. They're probably in a hurry. Okay, never mind. That's okay. Just get on to your own stuff. That's what I think sometimes. But that's what I want to think. But sometimes it's hard to generate that kind of a thought into your head because I think it takes practice, right? What about you, Ben? Be quiet for a while.
No, I'm just listening. I'm just listening to your two thoughts, and I'm like over here on my own little world, and I'm like, you both are wrong. No, I'm kidding.
Oh no!
So,
damn it.
Gosh, yeah. Woo. I feel like for everyone listening at home, if you haven't noticed, I'm not from the same part of the country or part of the world, excuse me, as maybe these two lovely co-hosts. So I wonder if the driving over here is any better. I'm guessing no, but to continue with this example, I think, before we move on maybe to another one, I just, I let it happen. I have to kind of side, if I could, like 1 point over on Dom's side, Tommy, because for me, it's like, I I don't feel maybe the need to vent it out in that same way. Although I will say your deflection method is similar to maybe my sense of humor for when something doesn't quite go right. So that's definitely how I sort of channel that and let it go. But yeah, it's kind of taking a moment. I mean, maybe some people want to start fights. Maybe somebody wants to start a car collision. I don't know about that, but it's kind of reckless
It does
things.
happen nowadays with insurance going on. People do that.
That's fair. That's very scary. Yeah, and very fair. And yeah, I think just for me, I'm not a very confrontational person. So I'm definitely a Tommy where I kind of would rather be tough, on my own and very far away from the instigator. But along the same lines, yeah, I think that releasing your emotions, to someone face to face, like you were saying, Dom, maybe might feel good in the moment, but doesn't maybe have any actual lasting effects, or at least lasting that are productive. I think it can definitely lead to hurt feelings, and that doesn't that might actually force someone to close up more than to be open and communicative with you. So in that regard, I try to kind of ease more on not the weenie side, but I try to be a little bit more patient, a little bit more I don't want to say docile, but kind of the beta as opposed to Tommy's alpha in most cases. But that's just kind of my upbringing and everything. And I'm sure another person would easily side with Tommy about being more assertive and more adamant kind of on a lot of things too. So there's no right way, but I think maybe there is a good way for, again, that communication with people. And recently another expression that I heard is don't treat others the way that you want to be treated. Treat them how they want to be treated. So that also kind of goes in with communication. If one person does not like beating around the bush, working your way, around an issue and would rather just tackle it head on or directly, then that's the way that it's meant to kind of, you're meant to work with that person. And vice versa. If there is someone who's a little bit more timid or, again, non-confrontational, then there can be a way to maybe flower things up so that what you would like to happen does not seem as much of an affront or a cost that person. So more and more things for mindfulness and, again, treating each other with respect.
Ben, I'm just going to quickly correct you on two things there. First of all, all three of us are in three separate continents, so we don't share the same driving techniques or
wow. It's just universally
etiquette.
Bad then. It's just bad everywhere.
Yeah, yes, it is. And the second thing I've got is that when you mentioned the Tommy alpha way, it's more of a meta alpha because I do yell at people with my windows up. So it's more of a subdued sort of aggression.
But they do see it.
Yeah. They may or may not. I might do a bit of
I drive my car around because for people out there, I'm in Taiwan right now, right? So different continent, Taiwan, more like an island, right? And so Tommy's in Australia and Ben is in California, the biggest continent, right? Well, we can debate on that compared to Australia. Some people say Australia's continent is bigger than America, but let's not focus on that, right? And so
there's no measuring contest. Yeah, go on.
That's right. Yeah. We all know who'd win, and it's not.
But the thing that what I mentioned, right, when we do something to show off our anger and whatever, I think it's like you said, it's great, good in the moment, right? It's definitely good in the moment, but it takes effect for a longer period of time, way more than the shorter effects. Like, for example, if I'm mad in the morning, that means the rest of my days it's gonna be way worse than what it should be. If I have a great morning, then the rest of the day will be much easier. So I feel like when I start my day, I'm like the health points, my HP is like 100%, and then during the days it just depletes. But if we start from the very beginning and the early morning, it just depletes 50%, then the rest of the day I'm gonna be out of positiveness, and then I'll be negative the whole day. That's how I feel. What do you think? What do you guys think about that?
I use coffee to mitigate that.
Little cheat code. Yeah,
Just
I
add it up,
mean,
add it up.
I was thinking the same thing. I got some boba, got some food, whatever helps to pick you up. But definitely, and that's again, now I think it's even harder than before to be kind to your neighbor and all this kind of stuff. But even at work, if you have like a coworker that you just do not care for, hopefully there's one that you do care about, and then you can kind of let them know, just that, like, hey, thanks for all your great work today. That's something that my current work culture is very kind of up about, and I think it's a good thing because it again just shows everyone how much you're valued, especially when you might have someone come in who's a little bit less thrilled, I guess, about something. And we kind of have each other's backs, and I hope that the listeners and you too seem to have each other's backs for the most part. So same thing as surround yourself with the people that you care about and that you want to have around. So you can continue to just lift each other up. I think is sort of. I'll totally disregard your question, Dom, and that's my answer.
But how do we surround ourselves with good people? Like, how can we know they are good people? Like, most of the time, for me, I don't really care so much whether they're good people or bad people. I just want to have people around me, friends to be around me. Like, sometimes, if you have no one around you, you feel like a loner. And when I'm alone, and you're a loner, sometimes you get this self-talk, bad stuff goes into your head. It just makes you think of bad things, or you feel like, oh, no one wants to be with me today, or no one wants to hang out with me today, and it adds on. I'm talking for people who have depression, or people who had this kind of feelings. Like, if I feel sad today, I want to have people around me. I don't care whether they're bad or good. I just want to have people around me. So when I don't have people around me, I start thinking, negative thoughts, in the sense that I want bad things to happen to me, or why are things happening to me? So if this happens when I go out in the morning to get my coffee, and the barista's, spilling coffee everywhere, and I'm like, why is this happening to me? Why are you doing this to me? And then when I walk out of the coffee shop, maybe I take the transportation to work, and the bus driver is super slow today. Like, why are you so slow today? It adds up. So,
and I think it snowballs when you have like if you have three in a row. I think that's what hits a lot of people. So the first one, if if you walk out and you knock your head on the door, you go, oh yeah, silly me. And then the second, if you walk out and then a bird poops on you, and oh, not another thing. And then the last nail on the coffin will be the third one, whatever it is, and it could be small or big, but you go, oh, all right, that's it. And then you kind of can't reset yourself from there, isn't it? That's
I know. So how can we turn that into a good thing if that happens? Ben, this is
If you
on
have
you,
good
man. How
coffee,
can
I
we
think
turn
it
that into a good
fixes.
thing?
Oh boy. I mean, I'm definitely not an expert, but what I will say is, sometimes not to give up on the day, but you can, I think, kind of put your hands up in some ways and just say, well, there's always tomorrow. And hopefully that'll kind of reset. I know things can definitely look dark. And I have a few friends, who've also kind of been in depressed states, having depression. Comes and goes, and it never really, I think, fully leaves you. But if there's ways for you to find that make it a little bit less, then I'd say do it. As long as it isn't anything illegal, I'd say that if you can find some music, find a passion, find a hobby, find an interest. Like you mentioned, Dom, isolation can be a big part of this self-fulfilling kind of prophecy almost, where the play or the disparaging kind of just continues to repeat on its own. And for that, I mean, I lately have found like a network of people for a hobby of mine, and it's been great, getting to see them now on like kind of a weekly basis. Yeah. And
What's the hobby?
definitely.
I was
Oh
gonna
my
ask the
God.
question. What's the hobby?
Well, you're gonna call me a nerd
Yeah.
again.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't. Yeah.
It's called Dungeons and Dragons, of course. It's a tabletop
Oh.
role-playing game, and people,
Dungeons Dragons, long time back
there
in
you
elementary.
go. Yeah, people just want to be creative together, right? And just kind of go on adventures. Figuring out who's pointing
Because
to
of
where.
Tommy,
Yeah,
I found
yeah.
Magic the
There you go.
Gathering, and then I had a bunch of people playing Magic the Gathering. And
Yeah,
then
and so people are all there for the same reason. It doesn't matter what everyone does for a job. It doesn't matter how much money everyone makes. They're just there specifically to enjoy the time together. And I know definitely can be hard, like if you moved to another country or to another province, what have you, alone. It can be hard to set that up, but at the same time, the
I think
the
D&D is
light,
global, Ben. I
that's
think
true
D&D
too.
is
Yeah,
global.
the
So
light apart from D&D, the light of the situation, how to make it, how to turn it from a bad one to a good one, is maybe you can take a second and realize, hey, I can kind of do what I want right now, and I can maybe explore certain things that I didn't have before, or didn't have the opportunity to before. Before I moved out of the house, right? It's like I was always worried about the judgment of my parents. But then when you go out on your own, there's no one there to judge you. It's just you and taking on the world. And maybe that means you can turn that into something actionable and something you've always wanted to try doing, like skydiving, which I still haven't done yet, or scuba diving, or let's see, what other things that aren't diving? Like just going to a
bungee
restaurant. Yeah.
jumping.
But yeah, sure. What else? Yeah, all
I'm
of
not
it.
doing that.
No. And so, it's definitely a perspective change, I think, as Tommy mentioned earlier. And it's kind of what you make of it, because we only kind of do have this one life, here, at least with the three of us all together. So why not jump onto a podcast and talk about things?
YOLO.
That's
Well,
it. That's it.
that's the one reason why I want to start this podcast, is because to bring more positiveness into my own life as well, because
Mhm.
I see negative quite a bit, so I want to change it. Like I want to have more positiveness inside. It's difficult, but I'm trying, and so at the same time when I'm thinking of doing this podcast in the future when I die, and hopefully my kids will to watch this podcast again, and they're like, oh, this is that, and this is what that does. So something like that. So that's my idea of why I want to start this. And so
I
yeah.
love that. Yeah, a legacy, right? Like we don't want to be forgotten. I think that's part of human nature. So creating things and being remembered for them, absolutely right. And whether even it's just creating memories with one another so that we can kind of even hold on to those for as long as possible, is I think a lot of where I come from too.
Yeah. I actually tried this. I don't know you guys know about Chat GPT. Have you heard of Chat GPT?
Yeah, I couldn't get in because the server was flooded because I needed to do a report for work. So I had to do the work myself.
Everyone's using it right now, and so I actually tested it out and I asked it to write a very sad story. This is me. I love to read stories. I love to read novels and fantasy stuff. But when I write, I like to write sad stuff, like reality stuff, like um, resulting in death at the end or something. So anyway, I asked ChatGPT to write one for me. So I want to get an idea what it does. And when I was reading it, I was like, wow. So it's about this guy, and he had a good thing about his life. He met someone he loved, and then the someone he loved got cancer, and then it goes from there. And she died, and he became sad, and he became depressed, and he took his own life at the end. And so what? So why am I bringing this up? This is because I feel like even the AI is thinking about this. I mean, even there's a story that people thinks about this. When life hits the bottom, we find the easy way out. I mean,
But hang on, let me just ask you that question. So your first thing that you ask it to write is the very sad story instead of a very happy one. I think the situation here.
I'm sad. I'm sad.
Okay,
I know.
so maybe the perspective change would be we look for the brighter side of things rather than seek the darkness. Is that what you're thinking as well, Ben?
Yeah. Yes, definitely. I was actually reading a.
Oh, I think we Dom, we can't.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, yes, we can hear you now.
Sure. I moved my mic, so it's kind of anyway. So I had this book with me, Be Happy Always, right? And so there's this one thing it says here. We tend to label people, and once we label people, we tend to see them as that only. And
Sorry,
so
Ben.
I feel. Did you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I do get what you're saying because I did call Ben some names before, and I do see him as a nerd all the time.
I mean, I'm a nerd, you know. I will admit it. I'm a nerd, you know. I wear Spider-Man jacket and stuff. I have all this stuff. People as old as me don't usually do those anymore, but I still do. Um, but the point is, once we label someone, or someone close to us,
Mm,
we tend to see that we can't change it. You know, so if
mhm,
I see, because I'm an educator, right? I'm a teacher at my school. So if I see this student of mine as being lazy, I'm
mm,
forever going to be thinking that he's lazy. I
yes.
need to change. That's why most of my time in school, when I start thinking something bad about a student, I try to change it. Like,
Mm,
no, I need to stop thinking about that. I mean, he's not
mm,
lazy. There has to be a
mm,
reason why he's lazy,
mhm,
and so it could be he or she doesn't understand the language or the
mm,
lessons being taught. So I need to find the time to actually go
mm,
and talk to that person and
mm.
the student in this sense,
Yeah.
to make him or her feel better.
There's no bad student. There is only.
Bad teachers. That's true.
Just,
That's true. I'm serious. Like
I learned
well,
that from Karate Kid.
in
So.
Taiwan, most teachers believe they are perfect. I'm gonna
Mm,
say that it's an education. It's because Asian mindset. I'm perfect. You are not. You are a student.
mm,
I'm better than you. It's always like that. You know. So I
mm,
try to make it a bit different between my students. Like, I know things. You know things. I may not know some things. You may know better, more things about me, depending on the subjects. But I would like to share with you my input. So hopefully, this input will change you. So that's what
mm,
my teaching method or the way I do
mm,
things. I want them to understand that. So anyway,
mm,
back to my opinion. I have students who come in the morning like down or sad or whatever. They don't want to talk or they don't want to, get on with the classes. So I take the
mm,
time to actually ask them why, what's wrong, try to figure out what's bugging them from the down low. Because
mm,
I believe that if I can get them up to 80% or 90%, they will have
mhm,
a great school day and
mm,
they
mm,
can learn stuff. When they go home, they will have great things happening.
mm. Maybe you
Even
should
though
give
my
them a
life is
happy
my
story
life
from
sucks, but I want to do
ChatGPT.
that. Sorry.
Maybe you should give them a happy story from ChatGPT. I think I think that will help.
I could, yeah. But anyway, that's the reality things for me. That's my hobby. Like, I like to write things, negative things. I want to do
Yeah.
it positive, of course. But
Yeah.
the reason why I do that is it's just because I feel like there are so many positive stories in the world, like fairy tales, happy endings. I want something
Mm,
that's not happy ending, more reality, realistic. So in the same way, I can compare the difference. Like that.
mm,
Anyway, that's my weird mindset. But
mm,
Yeah, no,
mm,
if I may, yeah, there's the saying, I love sayings apparently, misery loves company. And so, it's kind of like if you get through something difficult with other people, that brings you closer together in some ways. And you're absolutely right. I think the human condition, right, is that we are imperfect and that we're trying to maybe do better all the time. But
mhm,
with how maybe societies are, with maybe how economics are, capitalism and all this stuff, it makes us do things that maybe are counterintuitive to what is core to ourselves or what we want to be doing, etc. And that's how a lot of people, I think, face burnout and all these negative things. Like you said,
mm,
Dom, for every one success story, there's 1,000, unsuccess stories. But even those
mm,
unsuccessful stories can be lessons, and I think that's kind of the
yes,
thing
that's
too,
true.
right? It doesn't have to be just a mistake or a loss. It can be a lesson, something to learn from, something to impart
mm,
with others, and maybe that's why
mm,
you're a teacher, Dom, is to share all of your wisdom from your life to your
mm,
students, in addition to whatever school subjects you're teaching. But
Yeah.
absolutely right. Like, we're all human. We're all just trying to get through and uh, be happy, I guess, as much as we can. Yeah, for this
mm,
this YOLO one life that we have to live, I think is
mm,
kind of been my outlook for some time. But especially, yeah, in like the last couple of years with COVID and everything too, just try to keep your loved ones close, right, and everything like that. So
mm, mm.
their bad will happen. It's not always going to be good 100%. And so, what can we do to try and make that a little bit gooder, a little bit less bad?
Mm,
I think
mm.
is, yeah, a kind of shift in the mindset or the
Perspective.
perspective.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ben, I want to counter your saying with a saying that I live by. So when you share your happiness, you double it, and when you share your sadness, you half it. So like misery loves company, but so does D&D groups, and not everyone in there is sad, right? It's
That's
like
right.
and Dom touched a bit on how when he said it's I prefer sad stories because it's more realistic, and we talk about pigeonholing something. So if we are going to pigeonhole reality to sadness, then what is our outlook on life? Because I feel like no, is not all like, why can't a happy story be a realistic story? Because I have seen a lot of happy people. So we talk about positivities. Why are we then pigeonholing, or what's that word that Dom used? Like you label something, right? So why is realistic on sadness and not the happiness?
I know. So
right?
so that's my problem. So I want to change that. Eventually, maybe one day I can be able to write great happy stories. One day.
But maybe remove the word maybe. Maybe say today I will, right? Because I
Today I
do also
will.
believe exactly. So I do believe in the power of affirmation as well. If you say it enough, you say it into being.
Yes,
And
I
there's
like
another
that.
saying, I guess.
Also.
Yeah. And I kind of lost my train of thought here because I was just thinking about what else to say to counter what Dom is saying, because it seems like the views that that you've got out there is sort of shrouded a little bit in grayness, and I
It's
feel
because
like
of gray hair. Lots of gray hair.
that's not supposed to be the way it is. Because so if we go back to the day thing, right? If we go circle back to, if I had a bad day with bad coffee and stuff, and I have 3 bad things happen to me, the whole day is wrecked. Now, what happens if you swap that and just go, all right, instead of calling it a day, let me call it 2 half days, right? So I have it before lunch and after lunch. So if I had a bad before lunch, if I had a bad morning, then after I have lunch, everything resets, So that three bad things that happened to me in the morning, that goes away. All right, we start again. After lunch,
What was a bad
you go,
lunch?
well, if it's a bad lunch, that's one thing. So you need 2 more. So instead of the 3 that can ruin my day, I need 6 now to ruin my whole day. So I can say, oh, I had a bad morning now, but the lunch was pretty good. So, the to me, it's just a perspective change, isn't it?
I like that you
Definitely
mentioned
perspective.
that, Tommy, about grayness. And Uncle Dom's background is gray, while yours is bright and sunny. That's just poetry in and of itself. But
And you are
100%.
you have got half black.
There you go.
What
I'm
do
in
you
the
call
middle.
them?
I'm
Yeah,
yeah,
there you
yeah,
go.
yeah.
He's the
Um,
light. He's a light in the darkness.
this,
Ben's a
oh
light in the darkness.
wow, look at that.
Some Green
No,
Lantern stuff right there.
absolutely. Another reference. I am a huge fan, of course, or I should say, also, what you were alluding to, Tommy, is like you find what you're looking for, right? And so, kind of exactly that. If you maybe are trying to be more active in not promoting, but promoting positivity, then chances are you'll find even small examples, but examples nonetheless. And again, I have had my own bout of depression at one point, and for certain, I was in a funk. I did not want to do anything. I was super apathetic and lethargic. But eventually, I think for me at least, there came a point where I said, is this how I'm going to be for, the rest of my life? And the answer is no. I think I want to go back to, how I was
Happy Ben.
before. Yeah, yeah. And, a changed version, of course, one that is wiser and maybe wizened with life experience. But nonetheless, yeah, I'm hoping that anyone who may be in a tough spot right now, listening, can kind of find it about if that is what they want for themselves, and or if they are willing to make a change. And it's so much easier said than done. And I'm not saying, again, I'm not trying to diminish anyone's experience or minimize what someone else may be going through, but I hope that everyone understands whatever you might be going through can be temporary. And again, I can't prescribe anything necessarily. Everyone is different. But if, as you mentioned, Tommy, manifesting can certainly happen. And whether or not we believe in karma and other, forces of the universe, I think exactly right. If you put more good into the world, then you'll just kind of have it maybe returned in kind. So that is also a thing that I've been trying to go by for a while, since high school and all that kind of stuff too. And so far, I think it's been going pretty well. So just little things to try for personalized to yourself. You know yourself better than anyone else. Certainly, I think the stigma for psychiatrists and psychologists, therapists, has gone down in recent years, and that's a good thing. I think being able to normalize a lot of what our mental health is and treating it not just as something which maybe our Asian backgrounds may have said otherwise, but to fully embrace that and try and pay more attention to it, just like a muscle. Your brain is a muscle too in a lot of ways, and so making sure that everyone is healthy emotionally in addition to physically and spiritually, if you're into that as well, all balance, and hopefully able to find at least some kind of outlet if one of them is lacking, to try and get yourself back onto the right path.
Get back on the track, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a quote that I want to bring up here. It's by Albert Einstein. We all know who that is, right? He said, he says, in the midst of every crisis lies great opportunity. And so there's
the
lots of
recent
problems,
pandemic can be proof to that, isn't it? Because how many people made a lot of money from something that killed, many people.
Let's not touch on that. There are always.
That's too real. That's too real.
If we talk about the pandemic, like the crisis COVID cost, it did cost me my job as well, because as an educator, people don't want to go to school anymore. At that time, I was in an after-school program. So because of COVID, no one could go to an after-school program. So technically, I do not have any students. And because no students, no work, no income, And so, but in the same thing,
That's where the podcast come from, isn't it? That's where the podcast come from, because you were able to actually put in time
I could put in time
get
to
this
do
up
my
and running.
podcast. And at the same time, I could improve myself and try to think more positive. And at the same time, because this podcast was done 2 years ago, but right now, if I looked at it back at it right now, I have a better job right now, so a better school that I'm teaching at. So things has improved. I would say this was an opportunity, because something bad happened, something new or better happens in the end. It's just that during that particular moment when it happens, we just it's hard to think of the positiveness of it, right? Because it happens. Oh no, I blame COVID. I blame this. But in the long run, we should try to think that something good might happen in the end. So that's what I'm saying here. Also, what was it saying? Every cloud has a silver lining, right? Something like that.
When a door closes, another opens. Is that? I thought Ben was Ben. I thought you were gonna jump on that, but yeah, I'll take it.
Please do. Take them all, Tommy.
So something closes, something happens, right? So I think this is also affects in the experiences, and if we get this, and then there's gonna be something better. Like there is a game that I've been playing as well. It's called Elden Ring. I don't know if you guys know that game. It's a pretty hard game, supposedly. I've seen people smash their keyboards or whatever controllers. I played it and I felt like, this game's killing me. But after like 20 times of fighting the same boss, I eventually beat it. I'm like, okay, well, I did it. There's a sense of achievement. So I feel like if we apply this in our life, if all the bad things that happen, if we get one good thing, I mean, that is good. We should, grab it and then
run with it.
Expand it, right? Expand it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have nothing to say there?
Nerd.
No.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. I just wish our world allowed us to fail more, right? Like if I think for some people, they try to make a big break and then it doesn't work out, and then they're homeless on the streets, and that's not necessarily what we want. There's all sorts of what's the word I'm looking for? Like not establishments, but certain things kind of that kind of keep that continuing to happen, I suppose you could say. But for everyone else who is trying to help their fellow human and all this kind of thing, I think that's kind of the beauty of our existence in some ways. But yeah, making mistakes, for so many generations was seen as just a very bad thing, as in now we have a number of people who've been, I don't know if it's an official diagnosis of perfectionism, but kind of this fear as well of failure. And that kind of becomes maybe debilitating for some people, even, to the extreme, where they don't want to try anything for fear of failing. And that's, as we sort of mentioned, that is a part of life. Failure is a part of life because you're going to learn from it. It needs to happen, or else there is no growth, as we kind of also touched on earlier today. And all these kind of factors, I think, in that sense, being able to normalize or just not popularize, but make widespread the idea that you're going to fail, and that's not a slight against you. It could be for a number of reasons, external factors, just being unfamiliar with something, so kind of not even ignorance, but just again, greenness, means that if we can find the brightness or making good of a bad situation, turning that into something that we can do better the next time. So absolutely right. I think on all counts here, where it's just a matter of that mind shift, that little like flip the switch, that perspective change.
Yeah, sorry, Ben. I just think when calling it a failure, I think that's the first wrong step, isn't it? Because if you say I tried it and it didn't work, or if I tried it and I failed, that sounds very final. But if you say I tried that, it didn't work, it sounds like, I'm going to try it again with a different perspective, with a different angle of attack. So I don't know. I feel like the power of language is very strong. Like I believe in that. So to me, if you just rephrase it as, no, that didn't work, right? It means that you're leaving it open so that you'll go and attempt it again.
It didn't work this time, or I haven't done it yet. Exactly right.
Yeah,
and
so we did not fail. Yeah, so romanticizing, I don't know, like we don't necessarily have to romanticize, celebrate failures as much as saying, well, it didn't work, do it again, right? So there's no, you didn't get an F, you just got to do it again, try again.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna be hard. So if I'm a teacher, so if my student failed the class, I was like, oh, it didn't work, try again. I have to put an F there.
Why can't we do that? Because I mean, all right. So if you do a test and you fail, right? What happens there? Do you revisit it, or do you go, all right, let me start again and we'll do it again. Let's try it again.
So as a grade, I have to put an F there. But
you can put an F there, but you can just keep going, can't you? Because just because the game is over doesn't mean your trials are over. You can still go ahead and do it, because
my students to know, like, I give you an F, doesn't mean it's over. Like, I go to them, it's like, I'm sorry, you didn't do it this time, let's try harder, you know. If I go to, oh my gosh, you failed, what did you do, why, that's kind of demeaning somehow as well, right? I know teachers do this, a lot of teachers do it, like, you failed, why, what's wrong with you, It shouldn't be what's wrong with you, it should be like, what did you learn? You didn't learn something. It didn't work.
What didn't you understand? So we can try to explain it in a different way, right? Yeah, different learning styles, being receptive to other people. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree, Tommy. And you too, Dom. Yeah, for being more constructive, being more encouraging. Absolutely right. Because that's going to be how you excite people.
Something we want to put when we're experiencing bad things, like. The question that I think I showed you guys the question. So it's like, what can you learn from this situation that can help you in the future? So I think if we put that in ourselves, like every time something bad happens, what can I learn from this? And then maybe in the future I'll done better. Something like that. I'm trying to put this in a lot of things, especially when I'm playing games, or if I'm playing hard games, or I'm doing something that's difficult. What can I learn from this and help me in the future? What can I do? If someone angered me, it's my fault, because I accepted his anger. I want it to be different. So what can I learn from this? Most of the times I will put myself aside. I was like, okay, he hates me, I'm gonna hate him back. And so not hit him, as I hate him back. So in this case, it doesn't affect the person because I hate him. It only affects me. it always affects myself, not the other person. So
Mm.
in this case, what can I learn from this? I need to change. Maybe
Mm.
I can, get better, improve in the future.
Maybe you should deflect your anger with some sort of sarcasm or, swear word that he can't see. Then it will go away.
Yeah, it works really well for one of us, I heard.
Some of us.
Oh, what? That's what the students here in Taiwan, they were using swear words to say something, but in a different language, expecting you to not understand the language. But if
Mhm.
you understand the language, then like, oh, okay, what's gonna happen? Like a lot of foreign teachers, for example, in Taiwan when they're teaching, lots of students actually use swear words with them. Like most of the foreign teachers do not understand the swear words, so they keep on teaching, right? But what if you do understand the language? What's gonna happen?
OMFG.
And so in my case, I begin to understand more Chinese, and so when kids use their swear words, I begin to understand more the other language, the Taiwanese language. And so when kids use swear words, I understand them. So
That's a good
do
example of learning from your previous experience and using it in the future. I think we
I
should
would not want to
celebrate
use it in
that
the
small
future.
win.
But how do you respond to it? If someone say something back to you bad, how do you respond to it? Sarcasm, okay, but sometimes sarcasm will lead to confrontation, right? From the other side. For example, if you're right in front of me or Ben's right in front of me and you say something bad to me and I'm being sarcastic back to you, would you confront me with it or would you not? I know there are people who will confront you with their physical, because you're tough or big, like Uncle Thomas over here, Tommy, So yeah,
Can't even
like,
fit it on the screen. It's so big.
so what do we do? What can we do in this situation? What do you guys think?
Yeah, what would you do, Ben? Because I would not definitely. I would choose my target. I would definitely only pick the battles I can win.
Small one over there.
Yeah, that is a bad situation, Uncle Dom. I don't know. I have to say, I have in all my years of living, I have not been in a fight, so I don't know what I would do. But certainly, I think that, like I mentioned, the non-confrontational aspect of me would try to find some way to diffuse the situation as possible. I personally don't really take offense too much at things, so there isn't a whole lot of anger for me to flare up. But there has been, or have been instances of bullying, and those would be, a little upsetting for sure. I had considered, oh yeah, what if I did fight this person in this high school hallway? What would happen? And kind of playing that out made me realize it maybe wouldn't necessarily make me feel better, and it would have those repercussions later on. Another saying that I heard recently is, what is it? Hard decisions, easy life. Easy decisions, hard life. So the maybe easy and less intellectual decision would be to hit the guy in the back of the head, to feel good in the moment, but then what happens? Am I gonna get detention? Am I gonna maybe go to juvie? Am I gonna go to jail if these behaviors continue throughout my lifetime? Or am I just gonna let it go? Maybe the person has changed. I don't know. Maybe I will label him as an ignorant person for the rest of my life as well. But the fact of the matter is, too, in that context, in that specific scenario, it's high school. You're not going to see probably most of them for too much anyway. And definitely right. Your high school bullies, sometimes they end up being actually all right in the end, and it takes you by surprise. We see it in media all the time. I don't know if that's true in real life, but it's a possibility, one that we can hope for, and all these kinds of things. So yeah, for me, I would not draw arms or anything. I would kind of just try and shrug it off, and if it got worse than that, well, I mean, maybe we talk. But for right now, yeah, I'd try to be less in the person's face as possible. Just let them kind of talk it out. It's all on them, right? It's nothing that I did, probably, and so just let them vent it out. Yeah. What's that? What?
I say it's definitely that's the case, because when someone's being confrontation to us, it's usually their own fault. But we shouldn't take offense to it when we start being confrontation ourselves. it affects me more, especially if you're a family man. It affects you or your family or people behind you, so in this case it's difficult. Like your kids might learn from you, like that you are very confrontational in this, and so they will learn that, okay, so if my dad does this, I should do it too, so like the saying says, it runs in the family, right? Or the bad apple doesn't fall far from the tree, something like that, right? What do you think,
How
Tommy?
about you? Yeah, Tommy.
No, I don't know. Yes, I agree. But I do, yeah, I do deflect my, yeah, or I run. So I run away from confrontations because that's a lose-lose situation. Yeah, no war for me.
Yeah,
I wish everyone thinks that way. Then we would not have World War One or two, or even potentially
Agree.
three in the future, or maybe there
Yeah.
was three according to Marvel site.
Yeah,
but
it's
yeah.
just what do you get out of it, right? So again, maybe it's just us persisting the stereotype, right, of being not confrontational. But again, it's just kind of I feel life is not worth wasting time on that kind of thing. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Ben, for coming, and Tommy as well. We'd like to
Thank
wrap
you.
this up. So, could you guys give us maybe three things you want to tell the audience out there, what we can do to make the best out of a bad situation? So, who would like to go first, Ben or Tommy?
I'm gonna choose Tommy.
Oh, okay. So sarcasm, perspective,
Starfish
and coffee.
and coffee.
I'm gonna say sarcasm, perspective, and coffee. I'll say empathy. Yeah. We'll go with stay hydrated. I think that can also affect our moods, right? Blood sugar and all that. Make sure that the day starts off on the right foot, so it's you start at 100% every time. And then oh man, so many sayings. Which one should we leave with? Maybe a new one.
Yeah, do a new one, please.
Yeah, do a new thing.
I think I'm all out.
With great responsibility.
Oh, no, you got it wrong.
It's true as well, because Peter Parker, when he got power, he bullied people back. He bullied the bullies back, right? So,
and then he learned that wasn't the right way. Yeah. So, that would have been perfect if you said it correctly. If you
yes, I'm not a pigeonholed.
He's not a nerd.
Yeah. So you go, Ben. Finish the quote.
Okay. All right. We'll finish strong. Let's just say, be kind. I mean, that's not a saying. It's just a rule. It's a good rule of life, I think. Yeah. And like Dom said, if everyone was a little bit kinder, then maybe we'd see a little bit less of the ugly in the world. Yeah.
The gray.
I feel like I need to change the backdrop soon.
Great.
All right, so I'm gonna put it in mine as well. So I'm gonna say first, put things into perspective, seeing things in a different view. People, not everyone is having a bad day. Maybe that person is having a bad day, so we just need to put it into perspective. We can when we do that, we would try to think differently and act differently. Second, accept the situation, meaning it happens, so it happens. So we need to just get past it. Improve on it, and not dwell on it. The key point, I think, is don't dwell on the bad situation that doesn't make the other person bad. It makes yourself feel bad in longer run. I guess the third one will be focusing on what we have, improving, what we want in the future. For example, I mentioned that I lost my job because of COVID, and I accept the situation. I'm gonna focus on what I have, and eventually I got a better job. Things gets better. So that's the three things I want to say. Okay.
Oh, right. I have two more. I'm sorry, Uncle Dom. Really quick.
Go.
One of them is like, you can't force forgiveness, right? That's on for that other person that you may have wronged or that you apologize to. That's for them to decide. But then also, I did have one more phrase, and now I got so excited I forgot it. But
know.
if I get it, I will maybe ask you to include it in the podcast notes or something like that. It was good too, but anyway, yeah, I think
For sure.
definitely
Once
better.
you find out, let me
keeping
know and I'll
that.
put it out there.
You got it.
Okay.
Oh yes,
Mhm.
forgiveness. So please forgive me, Uncle Dom. That's where that nugget of wisdom came from. Is because little does maybe you don't know, viewers and listeners, I was late by more than 30 minutes.
40.
So bad. So there's this terrible coordination on my end, but I'm glad that I'm here, and I can't. I have to earn back maybe Uncle Dom's forgiveness and Tommy's forgiveness. I need to. I can't pester them about it. It's just for them to decide for themselves, and then they can tell me maybe one day.
That means we need you back on the show again next time
Whoa!
in the future.
I guess we'll know then if I was forgiven. Thank you, Uncle Dom, for having me, and thank you, Tommy, for having me as well.
Thank
Really
you.
fun
Thanks for showing up.
conversation.
Thank you, everyone. So I hope we all learned something from today's podcast, or don't. It's good.
Oh wait, do
all
I need
good.
a quote as well? Because I've got one that is perfect in this situation, all right? Because Ben added 2 encores. Can I add one? Flower that blooms in adversity is the most beautiful. Thank you.
Lovely. That's it.
Beautiful. Perfect ending.
Drop the
Thank
mic.
you, guys. Thank you. All right. So thank you all for coming to today's show. Hope you watch. Please like us and subscribe, and please share so that more people can watch this video and podcast and can learn more. We all want to bring positiveness into our lives. Thank you, everyone. All right. So I'm gonna let's put an ending song. We're gonna have the ending song. Here's the ending song. Hold on. Let me play it. Oh no! Start again.
Making the best.
This is the place where you will fall. Just turn.
All right. It's
Lift
kind
your
of started
spirit,
midway.
you for your fire. Passionate with stories untold. This is the place where you will fall. Just turn.
All right. Goodbye.